The question of whether wireless technology has finally surpassed wired connections for competitive gaming has reached a critical juncture with the arrival of Wi-Fi 7. For years, professional gamers have relied exclusively on Ethernet cables, treating wireless connections as fundamentally unsuitable for high-stakes competition. The emergence of this latest wireless standard challenges that assumption with unprecedented capabilities. Ethernet has maintained its dominance in professional gaming environments for clear technical reasons. A wired connection provides consistent, predictable performance with minimal latency variation. The physical cable creates a dedicated pathway for data transmission, immune to the interference and congestion that plague wireless networks. Professional players operating at the highest levels cannot tolerate even millisecond fluctuations in response time, making Ethernet the unquestioned standard. Wi-Fi 7 introduces transformative improvements over previous wireless generations. The standard supports theoretical maximum speeds reaching 46 gigabits per second, dramatically exceeding the capabilities of even 10 gigabit Ethernet connections. More importantly, for gaming applications, Wi-Fi 7 implements multi-link operation technology, allowing devices to transmit and receive data simultaneously across multiple frequency bands. This fundamental architectural change addresses one of wireless networking's most persistent limitations. The multi-link operation feature enables a gaming device to maintain connections on both the 5 GHz and 6 GHz bands concurrently. When interference or congestion affects one band, traffic seamlessly shifts to the alternative pathway without interruption. This redundancy mechanism provides a level of reliability previously impossible with wireless technology. Additionally, Wi-Fi 7 reduces latency through improved channel access mechanisms and more efficient data encoding schemes. Despite these advances, Ethernet retains inherent advantages rooted in physics rather than engineering limitations. A wired connection experiences no radio frequency interference from neighboring networks, microwave ovens, or other electronic devices. The signal travels through a shielded cable, rather than propagating through air, eliminating variables that introduce unpredictability. For professional gaming where consistency matters more than peak performance, this predictability remains invaluable. Latency measurements reveal the practical differences between these technologies. High-quality Ethernet connections typically deliver ping times between 1 and 2 milliseconds on local networks. Wi-Fi 7, under optimal conditions with minimal interference and close proximity to the access point, achieves latency in the 2 to 5 millisecond range. While this represents remarkable improvement over previous wireless standards, the difference remains measurable and potentially significant in competitive scenarios. The stability factor extends beyond simple latency numbers. Ethernet connections maintain consistent performance regardless of environmental conditions. A wired link performs identically whether one device or 50 devices occupy the same physical space. Wi-Fi 7, despite its sophisticated interference mitigation, still operates in shared spectrum subject to congestion and environmental variables. Tournament environments with hundreds of wireless devices in close proximity create challenging conditions for any wireless technology. Professional gaming tournaments illustrate these practical considerations. Major esports events invest heavily in network infrastructure, running dedicated Ethernet connections to every player station. Tournament organizers cannot risk wireless interference affecting match outcomes, regardless of how advanced the wireless technology becomes. The controlled, predictable nature of wired connections eliminates an entire category of potential technical issues. Bandwidth requirements for gaming remain modest compared to the capabilities of both technologies. Modern competitive games rarely exceed 50 megabits per second in network traffic, well within the capabilities of gigabit Ethernet and far below Wi-Fi 7's theoretical maximum. The critical factor is not bandwidth, but rather latency consistency and packet delivery reliability. A single dropped packet or a delayed frame can mean the difference between victory and defeat in professional competition. The physical setup considerations also factor into professional environments. Ethernet requires cable management and limits player mobility, but provides absolute certainty about connection quality. Wi-Fi 7 offers convenience and flexibility, but introduces variables related to access point placement, interference sources, and signal propagation. Professional players typically prioritize performance certainty over convenience. For home gaming enthusiasts and even serious competitive players outside tournament settings, Wi-Fi 7 presents a genuinely viable alternative to Ethernet. The technology has evolved to the point where, in properly configured environments with quality hardware, the performance difference becomes negligible for most practical purposes. A player with a Wi-Fi 7 router positioned optimally in a low-interference environment can achieve performance approaching wired connections. The answer to whether cable is finally dead for professional gaming remains nuanced. Wi-Fi 7 represents a genuine technological breakthrough that closes the gap significantly. For casual and even competitive home gaming, wireless technology has reached a point where it no longer represents a meaningful disadvantage. However, for professional tournament play and players seeking absolute maximum performance consistency, Ethernet retains its position as the gold standard. The physical laws governing wired versus wireless transmission ensure that cables maintain inherent advantages in predictability and interference immunity, qualities that matter most when competition reaches the highest levels.